What up, everybody? You're now tuned into the true definition of a sports fanatic. I'm your host, Brandon Lampley, back today with another episode. Missed last week, but we back on with the Hurricanes. We had to prep for it, had some things going on. But, we back in the building. We didn't get a chance to talk about the Jags-Chargers game, which I had a feeling, Mr. Reed. I said they're going to get one of these games. I said they can either get the Chargers or they'll get the Eagles. They'll get one of them. And if you told me before the season that they would be 2-2, have showed what they've showed through the first 4 games, with a 5-game stretch coming up that are some very winnable games, I would have told you was out your mind, because I would have thought no way that this team will perform to the level that they're performing to. And even with all of that said, sometimes I hate being part of Jaguar fandom because people acting like we were Super Bowl champions before Trevor got here. They act like we was this is the greatest franchise on the face of the planet, and he's stinking it up. I can't believe the way people act. They're so fickle. But you're talking about a fan base that's probably used to losing. They don't know how to handle success. So we're gonna give them a pass for these first 4 weeks. But get it together, man. The team is actually a good team, and they're gonna win more games than they lose games this year. I believe that.
Yeah, but let me say this about Trevor, man. That's part of the job.
It's part of the job.
Faced with criticism. I don't think like you base one performance. I'm surprised I hear more people trying to say that this kid is a bust. He didn't have a great game against Washington, and he didn't have a good game this past Sunday against Philly. But all of that talk, man, it's too early to start talking about he this and he that, he ain't this and he ain't that. You gotta let it play out. And like I said on Twitter, man, I think ain't no sugarcoating. He had a bad game, but yeah. I think he'll bounce back against the Texans. And but there are some naysayers in this town that don't believe this kid is generational talent and that kind of thing. And I just think it's a little player hating going on. But he's a good quarterback, man. But he's entitled to have a bad game, and I think that's that happened, and I don't think you're going to see that consistently every Sunday that he fumbles 4 times or whatever the number it was. So,
supposedly that was the first time in the Super Bowl era that a quarterback has fumbled 4 times and lost 4 fumbles. So yeah, that's an anomaly. It's not going to be the norm, people.
And we got to get, another thing, Brandon, we got to get out of the town. This town, it is all about the losing history. And I think sometimes we overhype this team. And then when they don't live up to the super hype, then people start trashing the team, even when they look good. As you said in your intro, I don't think anybody in this town would have figured this team would be 2-2 after the first 4 games.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, man. I think they got a good coach. I think they got a coach. Maybe one of the first times they had a coach who can actually out-scheme teams. He's an excellent play caller. And they're not going to lose games by coaching. It won't be losses on the many years. It's been losses because coaching staff mistakes, unprepared, playing players out of position of what their strengths were, not holding players accountable and keep playing them when they obviously shouldn't be on the field because of lack of production. And I think you got a football coaching staff right now, including the defensive side. I think you got, when you watch this team, and just like this past week, man, the amount of turnovers, I felt that they gave up on the running game too soon. Should have never gave up on the running game under those conditions. But when you do that, you fumbles, turnovers, and all that, and you still got a chance to win the game at the end, I think that says a lot about their preparedness. I think it says a lot about what the character of this team is. This was 2 years ago, and they go into Philly under those brain conditions and just blow a 14-0 lead, that game would have been 40-14 easily.
Yeah. Easily.
I think as a city, as a town, I think sometimes you have to put aside what's been in the past, and it's hard. I mean, I understand you talking about 10 losing seasons in 11 years, and you done put in your heart and soul in the football franchise. You know, went out and bought the tickets to go see them play, and they have let you down. But I trust this coaching staff, man. I trust Doug Peterson. I trust from what I've seen basically the first month of the season, and this team is not regressing, man. I mean, I'll say this: watching Philadelphia and watching some of the teams in this league that's up there, those elite teams, Philly might have one of the best offensive lines in the league. And I mean, I think Walker is one. I mean, he's young talent, but I don't think he's faced the offensive line like he faced this past Sunday against that group, man. They big, they physical, and they come at you. I mean, and that's the bottom line. They're a little bit more physical than the Jaguars, and they ran at them. But this is a thing. This is a young team. I think the building blocks are in. I think they got their foundation in. I don't see this team being 3 and whatever. I don't think we're going to have to deal with football teams during season with only 3 wins as long as this man is continue to be the head coach. And I think you have to give them patience, man. You know, nobody, as you said, and I agree. I didn't think they could go up in LA and basically dominate the Chargers the same way they did the Colts. So yep. I think there's a lot of exciting things ahead, man. We just got to be patient as a city and as football fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest. You're talking about a 2-2 team that if you make the plays, like Doug said, plays were there to be made. You could be 4-0 if you make the plays. You know, it's been that close, and the level of play that they put on the field is not what I expected this year. I didn't expect it this year. Where at times they looked dominant, at times they looked unbeatable, at times they looked like they were too much for their opponent. We haven't seen that since 2017. And remember, the 2017 team was 3-3 through their first 6 games. Don't forget that. You got to remember that. And then they hit the soft part of their schedule, and then they started to roll off wins, and ended up winning division, and you know the rest. But at 2-2, with the next 5 games, what you got? You got the Texans, you have the Colts, you have the Giants. I mean, you have a winnable schedule for the next 5 games before you got to see Baltimore and Kansas City, of course. Yep. And I think they back to back. Baltimore. I'm optimistic.
Baltimore giving up a lot of points. They always got the quarterback and they can score quickly, but haven't played well defensively. So that's not a guaranteed loss that they're gonna lose to Baltimore. But I like a young team, man. I like this young team. I think they're building their confidence. They're still finding things about winning is hard, man. And winning on this level is not an easy thing. You have to get accustomed to winning, and it doesn't just come overnight. You go play on the road in the weather conditions, or you can come back then. That's the thing that a lot of people don't talk about, man. It's like they played 3 of the first 4 games on the road, and they're 2-2.
Yeah.
I mean, let's think about that. 3 out of the first 4 games on the road, and they split the 4 games. I mean, you're talking about going to LA, you're talking about going to Philadelphia. I mean, those not easy places to go out and win. And
yeah.
And then you're talking about a new coaching staff with a new system in, and I think the coaching staff is still finding what they really have and on both sides of the ball. And I think when you go back to Sunday, I think it hurts not having Zay Jones, not having him out there. I thought they, I don't know. One bad thing about watching football on the television, you can't really see what was going on with the receivers, whether they were getting just couldn't get open, or just running the route. I don't know whether they jumping the route, or I know they dropped too many passes. I definitely saw that on television, but I would have liked to see the just what were they doing to Christian Kirk, not to get him open, or not for Trevor Lawrence not to give him the ball enough. I mean, I don't know, but if he's your featured guy, number one guy, he's got to he got to have more than one catch going into the fourth quarter whenever he caught that first pass. So that was an issue. But this team, I mean, Philly is a good team, man. They're solid on both sides of the ball. They take away a lot of things from you, and but that was one thing that stood out to me. The receiving unit just didn't perform up to level. And of course, I thought the offensive line, didn't. Trevor was under pressure a lot, and I just thought the receivers, I thought, in my opinion, under those weather conditions, and I heard it was, you can't really see the wind and all that on television, but I thought for sure going into that game that they were going to utilize the run game. I thought that James Robinson would be 25 carries at least, maybe 140 yards. I thought they would probably go exclusively with the running game under those conditions, but didn't happen that way. Maybe they saw something that they could take advantage of, and they had, and like you say, I mean, you can't. I know we can debate about why they didn't do this, what happened to this, why Trevor played like this, but hey, man, and I know moral victories are not part of this league, but I rewatched that game, and I can tell every fan from watching these guys over the last 5 years that would have been any other season, and who knows, could have been 217 also. When you lose one of your top receivers, you're playing in bad conditions. I know a lot of people compare that 217 team when they went up to Pittsburgh, and it wasn't ideal conditions that day in Pittsburgh. But man, for this team to be in it and not, throw the first punch up 14-0, and it wasn't an easy game. The one thing that stands out to me about the Jags, particularly in the first quarter, they play hard, man. They they hit you, they physical, and you in a fight when you and they may not win, and they didn't win Sunday, but they will punch you hard.
Yeah. I know my buddy Jakar, he was like, man, he believed Mother Nature saved him. He said if that was a clear day, he said the game would have been different. What up, Chris? Chris say a lot of Jag fans like being miserable, and I believe
true.
that.
I think it's true. I think when they get, I have to go back to this radio station. I don't want to trash the 10-10 talk, but I do listen to it when I'm driving to work and all that, and I done listened to them for a couple of years. I think when you start having all this optimism, when you hyping them up, and we talking June and July, and it's too much optimism. It's like even the year before, with the Urban Meyer situation, I just think we hype this team up too much, and it raises the expectations of the fan base. And then when the season start, you don't win the game that you think you should win. And it's like almost like you're running into a rock. And then the optimism turned to pessimism, and then it's just the banter go on, and it's like we analyze, we scrutinize, we over criticize. We're a community that we just maybe we need another pro team here or something. I think them being our only pro team in the town that we overanalyze this team, and I think right now with this Trevor situation, it's almost like some people in Jacksonville just feel that we don't deserve a generational talent at quarterback. So we just gonna poke at it. We're gonna poke at it and make them be like the Blake Bortles. It's like we cannot have a generational quarterback in Jacksonville, and that's what I feel that some of the people feel that he's gonna fail. I mean, he's like he's gotta fail. Not that he's gonna fail, he's gotta fail because he's the quarterback of the Jaguars, and I think you got to let it play out, man. Young quarterbacks in this league have a hard time. It's a lot of things. They get thrusted. They don't have this 2-year window where they can sit back behind the starting quarterback and learn the ropes on the sideline. When you draft a guy like a Trevor Lawrence, you got to put him in the fire, and he's learning by trial and error. And he learned, believe me, he learned from this game. I don't think you ever see Trevor fumble that ball ever again 4 times in a game. I don't think you ever see that in his career ever.
Yeah. And you'll see some gloves on his hand going forward in the rain, I'm sure, because Jalen Hurts had his gloves on. I did see that. Jalen Hurts had no issues. He did fumble. Jalen Hurts did fumble in the game. He got it back, though. He did fumble. But he had his gloves on, so he didn't have a ball security issue. We'll take a look at this real quick. When was the last time anybody has ever seen the Jaguars in the top 10 of any power rankings? I can't think, but 2017 is the only year that we have to cling to. I mean, this is amazing. And they went up a spot after last week because of how tough they played Philadelphia.
Yeah. Man, look at that, man. They're ahead of the 49ers, they're ahead of the Titans, the Rams, Vikings.
Yeah.
And then I look at the bottom down there. Boy, the Steelers in the bottom 10 at least. The Colts in the bottom.
Well, they finally seen the light. The Patriots. Yeah, look at the Patriots. Yeah, George Webb called me. I got to call him back. But yeah, what George Webb at? Look at what a Patriots said. When the last time they was there? Look at that.
Saints. Look at the Saints, man. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The bottom 7 Saints.
Yeah. Yeah. Craziness. But hey, the Steelers, it's a new day. Because now I don't know why Mitchell Trubisky started the year. I would have been against that. But now it's Kenny Pickett's team from here on out. And I like Pickett, man. I think Pickett is good. And then this to the Jaguar fans, like you said earlier, Mr. Reed, look at the rest of the draft class of the young quarterbacks that came in with Trevor Lawrence. It's question marks. Question marks, dude. I mean, there's nobody, not Mac Jones, not Justin Fields, Trey Lance, none of those guys. None of those guys have proven anything. Trevor looks head and shoulders above the rest right now. And he's still learning. It's still going to take time, And
that's what is needed here in this town. You got to get this kid time, man. You can't base his career on one bad game, one bad performance, or you go back to last year when he basically didn't get any coaching. He had a wasted year his rookie year. This year he's getting the proper coaching, and it's going to take time. He may have a couple of more bad games. I don't think he'll see 4 fumbles in a game, but he might throw some picks. But it ain't the end of the world, y'all. It's not the end. It's not this kid, and I say this on record. This kid is not Blake Bortles, man. Yeah, I mean, you ain't got to worry about that. He's not going to turn into Blaine Gabbert, Blake Bortles. Even though they were drafted high, he's not going to be that. He's got too much natural talent to turn into a flop like that. And it's going to take. I mean, I sometimes consider him still a rookie. He's getting proper coaching finally. From Doug, who's a good play caller.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that's been very, very obvious. Like Doug has said, he's called the plays, and he said it's been there. The thing that has slowed them down is execution. That's what it's been. It's been execution. He's called the plays, and the plays have been there. Zay Jones was a big loss because on those underneath routes, Zay Jones, I told you, vertically, it is what it is. He can get some guys every now and then. But horizontally running across the field, it's hard pressed for any of those guys to stick with Zay Jones running across the field. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's been open so many times running across the field, and I didn't see many guys getting open horizontally like that. Of course, we know Marvin Jones doesn't really separate that much. I didn't see what they were playing. They didn't double Christian Kirk, but for whatever reason, he didn't feel comfortable throwing to Christian Kirk, and that Kirk dropped 2 passes. I think they were credited with 5 or 6 drops in the game. So I mean, all you got to do, you execute, you have maybe 2 less turnovers, and you might win that game. And if he doesn't miss Agnew, because that was a touchdown early in the game, it would have been 21-0. It's a totally different game. Trevor hits Agnew, and it's 21 brick in the first quarter. I mean, it's a different game. So I mean, I'm optimistic, man. I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I'm optimistic, and I do want them to take advantage of the run game, man. I do think you got a special talent in James Robinson, and I know you got a quarterback in Trevor and these wide receivers, but man, you gotta, we've been talking about the balance of the offense. I mean, at least we did week 1 when they played Washington, but don't abandon the run either, man. It will simplify. It will create the passing game. So don't, especially in the conditions like that. And Bernie Pompey, this is my message to Bernie. We criticized all that stuff last year. I went to the game in LA, and he fumbled. James Robinson fumbled against the Rams in LA, and he didn't. I don't even think he played the rest of the game if he got in at all. And we can't have no repeats of all that from a year ago, man. So Bernie, I say this, man. They running backs are gonna fumble. They're gonna get stripped the ball away. I watch a lot of football. I see it all the time on Sundays. But I don't see where the guy get the ball stripped out of his hand that he's on punishment for three drives or 3 possessions before he get back in the game.
Yeah.
At the running back position, the Jags just don't have enough depth where you can keep that kid on the sideline as a punishment. I like, I mean, Etienne is a good player, but basically he's still a rookie.
Yeah.
And if you watch the San Diego, you watch the Colts, I mean, this kid got talent, man. I don't know what the talent evaluators thought a couple of years ago, but let's not evaluate him on just because he was an undrafted rookie. All that stuff is in the past, man. You got to put the ball in this kid's hands, man. And you got to live and die. He's gonna make some mistakes. We all make mistakes. The quarterback made a lot of mistakes, so don't punish this kid just because of what. And because I thought he was out of the game too long.
He was. And the Texans are giving up 5.1 yards per carry. Run the ball.
You got to run the ball, man. I know it's not the exciting football, chunking passes downfield and all that. But if you go back to 2 weeks ago when you played in LA, then you go look at what the time of possession was in that game, comparable to the time of possession that you had against the Chargers, comparable to what you had against the Eagles. The game was flip-flop. The Eagles took their role. And you got, whether you're explosive or what, I'd rather see the offense on the sideline than on the field. So nothing wrong, 13, 14 play drive that take up the clock. They did it against the Colts and they did it against the Chargers. And it might be wise to do it against the Texans because I tell you, man, Texans hadn't won a game with they 0-3-1, but they're gonna come in here and they play hard. They're not gonna get an easy victory.
Get that out your mind right now, Jacksonville fans. Please get that out your mind. You are 0-8 against the Houston Texans. 0-8. Last time beat them was Deshaun Watson rookie year. That's the last time, 2017. 0-8. So this is not a cakewalk. This won't be an easy game, but they should win this game. They should win this game. Let's see. Chris say, I want to see this more too, Chris. He said, I want to see 4 wide receivers out there with Agnew. Dude, it's clear to me Agnew can take the top off of defense. Every time Trevor's missed him or he's like he dropped the pass in his zone against the Colts. He missed him against Philly. Dude, there wasn't anybody within 3 yards of him. Maybe 5. I want to see more of that.
And you got to use him as a weapon. You got to, I know Jones coming back. I believe he's coming back. Just because he's coming back don't mean that, his role should be diminished. I mean, you got to utilize him, man. He's a weapon with speed.
He's a weapon.
And you got to take advantage of it, man. Put him in the offense, get some plays that, some featured plays designed for him, and take advantage of it. The more weapons, the better. I always say, when you got weapons, you got to use them. And Agnew is a weapon. I think he's the fastest guy on their team.
Yeah.
And you got to utilize. I like the play for the touchdown pass to Agnew when he rolled him in and he rolled out and he was wide open. They didn't have no clue that he was catching that pass. So you can fool the defense with him, and you got to feature him. I mean, if you want to do a spread offense and no backs in the backfield, and as he said, put 4 receivers out there and have them out there on the field, hey man, that's a tough cover.
It is. It's a tough cover, especially if he draws a linebacker. Good Lord.
Put him in motion. So they're flip-flopping in the coverage.
Yeah. So let's look at this schedule for the next couple of weeks and look at how this schedule looks, man. So you got Houston Sunday. You go to the Colts. You got the Giants at home. You got Denver at home. You got the Raiders at home before you got to see the Chiefs in week 10. So, but these last 5 right here, Texans, Colts, Giants, Broncos, Raiders. These are winnable games because we know what the Texans are right now. They 0-3-1, even though you're 0-8. I expect them to win that game. The Colts in Indy, you already beat them. You can beat them again. The Giants, them they're having a good year, but they're still beatable. And they got quarterback issues right now too. Especially if Daniel Jones can't go, you got to beat the Giants. And the Broncos are the most unimpressive looking team. But we called it before the season. You said that when they traded for Russell Wilson, you like it doesn't impress me. You say they just don't look like an impressive team. So you've been talking about that. And then the biggest shock to me is the Raiders. Oh my God, what is going on in Vegas? What is Josh McDaniels doing? Darren Waller is on the side of a milk carton right now. Where is he at?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, man. You got the best tight end in the league, and he nowhere to be found. I mean,
golly.
Sometimes you bring in a guy who's gonna, obviously he's implementing his system, and I don't know. Sometimes you got to make your system fit the players you have and utilize that talent, man. And I know they got Adams, but that tight end is excellent, man.
And Hunter Renfro's out, so he should be getting more targets. But remember, before the season, there was a report that Darren Waller, they were supposedly a package being put together because the Packers were trying to acquire Darren Waller. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why? Why are the Raiders trading away Darren Waller? That doesn't make any sense. Why? This may be it right here. I mean, because they haven't been using him. So I don't know, Josh McDaniels, I don't know what the issue is or what's going on. But a guy that talented disappearing, I don't know, man. And I just can't. He just got paid. So I can't see that this is on him. Is he dogging it? Is he jogging through his routes? Is he not playing hard? I don't know. Because I haven't seen any of their games, but I've seen his stats, and it's hot garbage.
I put that on the coach, man. When you come into that system, and it's a team that made the playoffs, and you got one of your featured receivers who's basically been missing, and he's been missing in action, and then you come in with a new offensive system, new this, new that, and you don't ingrain a guy who was a big part of the offense last year. I think that's on the coaching staff, man. I don't need no convincing about how good Waller is, man. He's a threat every time he go out for a route. And if you can't utilize that, something wrong with the coaching staff. Yeah, he's got all the measurables. He's got the speed. He's got the hands. You got, you're talking about an offense that put the ball up in the air a lot, and you can't get him featured on any of the things. I mean, I don't know, man. I think that's the coach coming in heavy-handed, or I don't know what it is, but if they're going to win, they obviously something wrong. They're not winning. They're not winning like they did last year. So I think it's McDaniel. I think you got to you whatever you got on this offense, you got to utilize it, man. You can't dominate your system and not feature the guys that's been featured before.
Yeah, yeah, because
Especially after you done paid them.
Hey, I don't want to hear about coverage schemes or anything like that because the tail of the tape right now, I'm looking at his targets 6, 8, 5, and 5.
Yeah, see, that's the problem right there. Not enough targets. Can't do anything if you don't get the ball thrown to you. So it ain't on him. You got to get this guy, get more plays featured for him. Yeah. What is Adams? I mean, what is Adams' target? I'm sure they double that, right?
Oh yeah, let's see what was Devonte Adams' targets, and I know Devonte Adams has been seeing double teams, and you can get it to where your tight ends, even if you're facing double teams, you can scheme it up to where he gets the ball. Because I don't want to hear Darren Waller is one of the most athletic players in the entire league at 6'5", 250, 60 pounds. Yeah. Dude, Jason Witten, they was like couldn't jump over a sheet of paper and was slow as a snail, but he was always open. Always open.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to draw the coverage on him, get one of them slow linebackers trying to cover him. But, man, there's too many opportunities for this guy not to have 6 targets. I mean,
check this out. So 17, 7, 10, and 13. Those are Devonte Adams' targets.
Yes, that's the problem right there, man.
Waller should be getting double-digit targets every game.
And they're easy to scheme. That's what's happening. They just easy to scheme and they're easy to figure out. And you know, Devonte is a great talent, but man, I'm sure, as you say, he's facing a lot of double coverage. And I don't understand the Raiders. I watched a little bit of their game, but you know, if you can't tell me you can't put that tight end underneath routes. Or even like the check downs and just let him get some space underneath and then let him use his athletic ability to get yardage after the catch. You gotta use, I think this guy come in, I'm sure he's got the Patriots prestige and you're gonna do it my way, only way. And then you just don't even evaluate, it's part of the problem, probably evaluating, utilizing some of the things that worked last year, and he don't want to incorporate it into the system, and that just being stubborn as a coach.
So, what do you think that the Jaguars' move should be going forward as far as the defensive line? Because it was very obvious once Fatakasi went out, it was a wrap up front. They don't have enough beef, and they need a little more beef. And I think we talked about it when they cut when they basically got some criticism for not having enough 300-pounders. And they were talking about how, those guys are not going to be on the field that much anyway. But in a situation like against Philly, it was needed. And one thing the 2017 team did was that they had an issue against the run early. Yeah. And what they did was they traded for Marcel Darius to get some more beef. And now people are suggesting, Ndamukong Suh. I don't know what kind of shape he's in, but you got Suh. It's a couple other veterans out there. But go get another big body. They have options though. But are they gonna? What do you think? You think they should make a move and make a play for one? Because if Fatakasi is going to get hurt,
and I think they need a big body. I think that was one of the key moves that the 217 team made. They wasn't big enough against stopping the run. They couldn't get the size to fill the gap, especially underneath in the middle. And this is a league where if they find a flaw, they're going to, you're going to see teams, Texans going to run, they're going to try to run inside on them,
Dameon Pierce.
And I just felt even in training camp, I thought that they should have, some of the moves I thought was questionable anyway. I think another thing also, Brandon, I know Goss's is not this big 340-pound guy, but you got to get that guy in. He's got to get more reps. I think he's a talent. I think he's an underestimated talent. And I think he makes plays, but I just don't think he's on the field enough, Yeah. And I like to see these guys do a little bit more stunting. I mean, I know Mike Caldwell is a great defensive mind, but Also, I like to see a little bit more shifting, shifts where you get this offensive line where they got a point to find out who the hell to block, and just you gonna have to stop the run, man. I don't care who you are in this league. You got to get some bigger guys in there, and I don't know about Devon Hamilton right now. I don't know if I'm seeing enough or I'm overseeing, but I don't know. I know what his role is. You take on the blockers and have those linebackers come in and he hold his gap control. But I don't know if I see enough physicality is what you have to have, and I don't know if I see it enough every play. You know what I'm saying? I see it at times, but I don't see it on every snap. I don't know. Sometimes I see like, what the hell is he doing? Is he firing off the ball? Is he,
Yeah.
And it's one thing to fill the gap, but it's also I watched that dog with the Rams, that Donald, that Aaron Donald boy. You get double team. He get double team all the time, and he finds a way to make the play.
Yes, he does.
It ain't just about filling the gap. It's about making the play too. And I want to see Hamilton make a little bit more plays in the middle. In the middle.
Yeah.
So I think they need to go out and get another guy. To be honest, I felt they should have got another big body guy at the end of before training camp. Even from what we seen during the offseason program, I thought that was a issue a little bit in the middle. And if my man is available, Sue, if he's available, then he can't be asking for much if he's at home watching the game. So
no, right.
The veteran minimum, then you got some space. Sign him. It can't hurt.
It can't hurt. And man, former coaching staff, and then with Andre Cisco, it's inexcusable why that kid was on the sideline. I don't care what the excuse was, what they gave, or he didn't know the defense, he didn't do this, or he not. I don't care. He was better than what was on the field last year.
Yeah, and you're right, man.
Clearly obvious.
Clear, and to be honest with you, though, it was even clear at practice. Maybe he didn't know the calls to make, but his athleticism was enough to see that you make it simplified and get him just to go out and make the play. If you watch last year at practice, he was always around the ball. If he's always around the ball, his athleticism will overcome his mistakes with the offensive system. And I commend this coaching staff, man. You cannot have a guy like that with that athleticism and just the way he played the field. You cannot have this guy on the sideline. I mean, that was ridiculous in itself not to have this guy out here on the field trying to make plays. I mean, you have to learn the game. Sometimes you learn through your mistakes, but you can't have a Dewey out there and have this kid on the sideline. I mean, that was, to me, still ridiculous in my book that they allowed that to happen. Chris Ash, I don't know what, for the life of me, what he had against this kid, but that was a college move, man. You see that much athletic. I mean, all you got to do is look at the pick six. He read that play perfectly, and he ran it all the way back. You think Dewey would have made that play? I mean, case closed. Would he would have read the play and then get the ball intercepted and go all the way for a touchdown? He would never made that play.
Right.
You got to have playmakers on the field, man. I don't care about scheme calls and all that. You have to have your playmakers on the football field if you're going to win in this league. And if you got to simplify some stuff to get it a little simple where he's not thinking on the field and he's reacting, then that's what you do. And that coaching staff last year, that's the difference between this year's coaching staff and that one. There's no politics involved. I want my best athletes on the field. And I don't care about what this one can do and how hard he work in practice and all that mumbo jumbo. When it comes with them lights cut on Sunday, And I know my guy can outrun that guy, and he can cover that fast guy. I want more than just a guy who can tackle. I want a guy who can cover, tackle, run, get me a pick six, and don't get run down. I got 6 factors that I like about Cisco, and I got 2 that I like about Dewey. 6 is higher than 2.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
football right there. 6 is high. He can do more 6 things better than that one on the sideline, and that's why I want him on my football team, not on the sideline, but on the football field, making plays. You got to have playmakers on the field. It's the coaching job to make it simplified so he can make those plays. But if he's got all the attributes, he should be on the field.
Yeah, absolutely, and the Jaguars won't see probably coming up on their schedule a complete team like that. I don't think the rest of the season, not a complete team like that. Philly, because with Kansas City, that defense is still questionable. They could play well in spurts. Baltimore is giving up a lot of points, of course, but a complete team, I don't think you're going to face one like that. And then that offensive line, Lane Johnson, Trayvon Walker had his moments early, but Lane Johnson finished it off.
That's toughest matchup.
That's a tough dude.
Once that guy spread his legs and he plant and he's down in his stands, there's no. I'll be honest with you, Brandon. I have never seen, and I haven't watched all what he did at Georgia. I'm just based on some of the things I've seen up to this point of this season. But I have never seen an offensive lineman basically stop Walker in his track.
That's the first time I've seen it.
Rush, and he stopped right in his track. That he can't get around him, can't get through him, and he just hold. He's a held position, and it ain't holding. He's not grabbing, but that's they got a big physical offensive line. That's one of the strengths they have, and I say this: I don't think they're going to have another physical team that they face like Philly, and probably until they play the Titans.
That's pretty much probably going to be it. As far as physicality like that, Tennessee is the only other team I saw that I would say is physical is them. But and Jason Kelsey, of course, he was bodying Devon Hamilton and them in the middle too.
And what's their tight end name? I mean,
Goddard. Goddard can. I didn't know Goddard was such a great blocker. He can block too.
Yeah, but that's the kind of stuff they got to watch out for, man. That tight end coming around the end, you think he's gonna block, and he's going out for that pass. And Aluakon got to get on the corner, man. Can't get outrun on that corner, man. You got the angle on him, you got to get him. Can't make that. That's the one bad play I saw that he made. But I like having him as my linebacker, though.
That was his worst. That was the worst play he made all game, because I think he had 16 tackles.
16 tackles, yeah. 16.
Yeah.
He's entitled to one bad play, but I say, wait a minute, I know he's gonna get him. And then he turned the corner on him. Lloyd had 14. And they got him, and Devin Lloyd, I think he mentioned it. He said one of the things that did get them to make them freeze their feet was the Jalen Hurts keeping the ball. That did get them. That made them freeze their feet, because I was like, have they not played against the RPO before? I mean, have they not played against the read option before? I mean, that's basically what they're doing. Y'all ain't got nothing for it. Y'all can't stop it. I was amazed at that. Well, they should have had a spy on him. I mean, you have the spy guy to go everywhere that Jalen Hurts go. You go with the spy guy. Maybe Lloyd should have been the spy guy. I don't know, but and they're gonna see some more of that. You're gonna see that when you play Baltimore. So you got to So he's definitely gonna have to adjust his defensive scheme on that. Just get a spy, man. Just everywhere you go. I mean, you go with the quarterback.
So, man. Well, we'll see what happens Sunday. So, who you got Sunday versus the Texans?
No, I think they come back and win. I think this is not going to be an easy game, but I think this is a lesson learned. They're coming back home. I think that Doug understand. I mean, I like the fact. I think Doug is a guy that goes back and watch the tapes, and you don't let ego get in the way of judgment. I think he's probably saying this week that, man, we do gotta utilize our backs a little bit more and get them in space, and and we gotta do a little bit more to help Trevor a little bit too. So maybe that'd be a little more flare out passes, little quick passes, get out his hand, get Christian Kirk a little better in open space, but. Hopefully the weather. I've heard the weather's supposed to be good, so I don't think these guys gonna have it. And the one thing though, Brandon, though, you don't want this team to have a letdown. I don't think they will, and that's part of the gloom of the Jacksonville faithful of always with that gloom outlook. But I cannot see this team not coming back Sunday, motivated, inspired, trying to get back on the roll. Get over 500, a lot of incentives to play well, and then just incentive alone is that you done lost too many times to Houston, man. It's time for payback. So
Yeah,
I'm picking them to win. I think they'll score 30 points. I think they'll beat them 30-17. Jags.
see, I was gonna say 30-20. So you right there where I'm at, 30-20. I think that they'll beat them. They'll get off the schneid, get off that on 8 with them. Yeah, I think that this is a get right game.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they're going to see a whole lot of Dameon Pierce. So
no question.
Whatever issues you had stopping the run, Texans are watching that tape right now. You better fix it now. Dameon Pierce looks like he's the real deal. Yeah, and it always amazes me around running backs who are underutilized in college. They really didn't get a whole lot of run, and they come in the league and play lights out. You had a couple guys who were like that. They didn't get utilized properly in college or get a ton of usage, and they end up being very, very good.
I'll share a quick story though. Pierce had a great in that Senior Bowl down there in Mobile.
We talked about Pierce.
He was excellent, man. They had that 101 drill where the defensive lineman was, he was pass blocking drill, and Pierce knocked the guy, he was pushing the guy forward 5 yards down with everybody in a circle watching it. And I said, damn, man, this kid's special, man. Somebody gonna get a good running back in the draft.
Yeah, he's turning into that, man. So they better be ready. Man, we're gonna move on. We're gonna stay in the NFL. We're gonna talk about the Pro Bowl. And so finally, they've scrapped this Pro Bowl game. I knew it was only a matter of time because they were out there. It was basically flag football, if we being honest. It turned into flag football. So now that seemed like that's the direction that they're going to go. And I understand why. Nobody wants to get hurt because there have been players who have gotten hurt during that game, and it has affected their season the next year. I know one of those guys was Rasheem Mathis, who got hurt in the Pro Bowl, and he didn't even get hurt in the game. He got hurt in the skills competition. So it's been guys who've gotten hurt during the game. So I understand nobody wants to get hurt. They go half speed and they just wrap up. It's basically tag or flag football. That's basically what it is. So it says the National Football League announced today a transformation of the Pro Bowl, renamed the tentpole event as the Pro Bowl games, taking place in Vegas in 2023. The Pro Bowl games, represented by Verizon, will be a long celebration of player skills featuring an exciting new format that spotlights flag football. The multi-day AFC NFC competition will culminate in an action-packed flag game featuring Pro Bowl players at Allegiant Stadium and will air on ESPN ABC on Sunday, February 5th, 2023. Throughout the week, the Pro Bowl games will also integrate new challenges where players showcase their football and non-football skills in unique competitions. The revamped programming allows the top stars to show off their skills, to celebrate their accomplishments in a fun, memorable way, surrounded by their families and fans. To program the week-long event, the NFL will work with some of the biggest names in football. Peyton Manning and his Omaha Productions company will play an integral role in bringing the Pro Bowl games to life, helping to shape programming and promote the event's content throughout the week. Manning will provide a unique perspective as a 14-time Pro Bowl player who understands the importance of the event and players and fans. He will also be a key part of the coaching staff for AFC NFC flag football games. He said, we have received invaluable feedback from players, teams, fans, and about reimagining the Pro Bowl. And as a result, we're thrilled to use the Pro Bowl games as a platform to spotlight flag football as an integral part of the sport's future, while also introducing fun new forms of competition and entertainment that will bring our players, their families, and fans closer than ever before, said Peter O'Reilly, NFL Executive Vice President, Club Business and League Events. Building on success of the 2022 Pro Bowl and 2022 draft, as well as our strong partnership with the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors, Las Vegas Raiders, we look forward to bringing the 2023 Pro Bowl games to the capital of world-class sports and entertainment. As a growing focus for the organization, flag football has been a critical piece of the NFL's participation and development strategy due to its highly accessible and inclusive qualities, in addition to the AFC NFC game on Sunday. The Pro Bowl games will integrate flag throughout the week, including the Play Football opening night and NFL Flag Championship presented by Subway, which was created in partnership with RCX Sports and will feature the top girls and boys youth flag teams across the country and around the world. Most recently, the league celebrated a major milestone for the global growth and popularity of the football format, partnering with the International Federation of American Football this summer, bringing flag football to the World Games in Birmingham, Alabama. So I like this direction that they're going. It's better than what they've been putting out because the game has been unwatchable. It's not a game anymore. The game is too physical for you to play it at full speed. And, guys don't want to get hurt. So I think that this is a way for them to honor those who have played well enough to be voted in and, to give a different look and, more bringing in flag football, making it a competition. Seems like they're going to have it tournament style where on Sunday they'll have the championship game. So I think this is a nice pivot from what they've been doing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think that the only question I got, where is the location of this going to be at?
Vegas. It's going to be in Vegas.
It is in Vegas. Okay, that's what I thought. And I think it's a good move for the league to kind of scale back. I mean, I know football is football, the physical and all that, but when you really watch the Pro Bowl, I don't think you're watching for the big hits and this. I mean, I just think it's a more of an entertainment thing. And I used to remember, as old as I am, I used to remember the skills competition with I think the Wide World of Sports had like the skills competition with the NFL players. Mm-hmm. And that was exciting. I mean, you just want something to grab your attention. And I understand the league don't want to, you don't want to have guys risking injury over meaningless, where it doesn't really count at all. And let's face it, it's not the NBA, it's not hockey, it's not Major League Baseball, it's NFL football. And I agree with that statement that you said that I think we at this time and age that you don't want to put these guys out there on the field and let them go full speed and it's not worth it for me, for a Pro Bowl. It's not worth the risk. It's not. And the other side of that is if they don't go out and perform at a high level, then it turns into basically a flag football game. So why not just make it flag football, downsize it a little bit for what it really is. The guys coming together, they earn the right, but they just coming together just to get away from, have some fun among each other. And just have, some competition, but, I wouldn't mind seeing who's the fastest guy in the 40. And I'm not a big flag football guy, but, it is what it is. And I'll probably watch more for the skill competition than I would for flag football. But I just think, I guess for my thinking and what I'm feel about the whole situation about not having a Pro Bowl, I just think that it's good that the league recognize that what they tried to do didn't work. Did not work. Pro Bowl did not work. And I know we ain't on the NBA, but maybe the NBA should try something else too, man. not so much the NBA game, but man, I I'm like the Pro Bowl. I'm sick of watching the Pro Bowl, and I'm sick of watching the Saturday night competition in the NBA. I'm tired of the dunk thing. I'm just
Oh, yeah. I don't even remember last time I watched like a full the All Star events. I've watched the game more than I watched like the 3-point competition, the dunk contest. I haven't really watched them in full. I mean, do they even still do the Rising Stars where you got the rookies versus basically sophomore players? I haven't really watched those like that. I've only seen the game, and maybe half the game, but I haven't really watched it.
Yeah, so they should join the NFL and make some bold moves and just think about the fans. We don't want to see dunks that take six dunks just to make one dunk.
Yeah.
So I like the move that the NFL made on that though. I think it's more of an acknowledgement that man, we got to try something else, man. We gotta do something different. It's not entertaining, and hopefully we found something to highlight that week for these guys being Pro Bowlers. So good move for the NFL.
Yep. Good move for the NFL. So we're gonna leave it right there, and we are going to. But before, it's funny that you mentioned the NBA. They basically All Star Weekend, and I hadn't really paid attention to that. But now that you mention it, the fanfare around that has gone down considerably. It's
Brandon. I watched that dunk contest last year, and it was absolutely horrible. I mean, it was literally guys in the dunk contest where they were trying to do a routine dunk where they throw the ball off the backboard, catch it, and dunk. And I literally saw one guy try to attempt that same dunk, and he had to attempt it 5 times to get it in. And it's been bad competition like 2 out of the last 3 years. And it's time to do something else, man. I think it's time for the dunk contest to go to retirement. It don't work anymore. It's not entertaining anymore. Everybody's almost basically doing the same dunks. The years of the Michael Jordans and the big name guys, joining that competition, the big name guys don't want to be a part of it. And I think they should make a call. Just I don't know if it's the right thing to do. Is just cut it off forever. But I think you need to give it a break for about 3 years or so, and just find something else like this NFL, and just it ain't what it used to be, man. I mean, that's the reality. You done had a dunk contest all these years, and guys done ran out of ideas to try to make an entertaining dunk show. So I like the 3-point shooting contest and whatever that skills challenge contest is okay, but that dunk contest, man, I think it's time to put that out the pasture.
Absolutely, man. But we are gonna move on. We're gonna go into a little college football real quick. We're gonna talk about an NFL guy who's been coaching college. He's one of my favorite personalities in the NFL, whether he was on TV or whether he was coaching. I wasn't around for his playing days, but Mr. Herm Edwards, one of the guys who they every now and then people mistake him for Tony Dungy,
Yeah.
But he was fired recently from Arizona State, and there's been some reports, some accusations against Arizona Athletic Department. It says a opposing coach recently told the Athletic that it wasn't hard to get intel on this season team because some within Arizona State Athletics wanted a coaching change. So the source says, as it turned out, the smallest Power 5 school in the country had played with one arm tied behind his back in a scandal that came to be known as the WikiLeaks. He said the next day, Clausen stood in front of his players. He said that there has been a security breach. He told them he ordered players to change their password. Coaches turned their phones and warned everyone, according to one player, not to lie to him because he would find out the truth. Most troubling of all, he implied that the breach had come within the program. Say the person causing those leaks was a radio announcer. Now at the Arizona State, we're talking about people within the athletic department, fairly open. That could be anyone. Are we talking assistant coaches? Are we talking people higher up? Remember Ray Anderson, the AD at ASU, as one of Herm's best friends. Now you have this, a disaster to say the least. Now, can we be surprised? No, well, at least not about Herm being a disaster. This is in the same report. See, so this is one of the sources. They asked if Herm Edwards bothered to learn NCAA rules. A former athletic department staff member said, I don't think it was the top priority for him. Another said that during Herm's first year, staffers would have to babysit Edwards at events where contact with certain prospects was prohibited. He's such a nice guy that he would just say, hey, can we take a picture? Oh, yeah, no problem. The former staff member said he didn't know that was against the rules. He said, I don't know how that happens. Now, about that real quick, this is the thing about that. I don't care about that. You know why? Because you know why? Herm Edwards is a football coach. He's there to coach football. If you got to put somebody, an assistant or intern, and say, hey, make sure he doesn't do X, Y, and Z because this is against the rules, then do that. What's the issue with this? How is this man going to know all of the NCAA rules? Now, if you done told him a couple of times and he's still doing it, then he just don't care at that point. But they're acting like they said his first year, they didn't say his second year, they didn't say his third year. So I'm sure he got a better understanding of the rules now. But you're penalizing him in his first year because he didn't know he couldn't do certain things with prospects? Come on, man. This sounds like Herm Edwards was set up to fail. It sounds like somebody didn't want him there to begin with.
Yeah, man. Politics, man. Politics at its finest. You know what, Brandon? I don't want to preach. Some of my students say I preach too much. So I'm gonna
go ahead. Go ahead.
And I listen to some of this, but you know, man, sometimes college football is becoming cutthroat. Too much with politics. Too many people you got to please, and they undercut you. You know, if they want you out, if you're gonna force me out, then just force me out. Don't undercut me. Don't plot the scheme to get me out. And if you don't like the performance, then just get rid of me at that moment. And I think in college football, it's like they gotta wait 4 weeks before they make a decision, and then they just undercut you. Oh yeah, he ain't. If he, you know, it's a lot of gossip being thrown to the media. And with this situation, you know, somebody in the organization giving trading secrets just so he can get out. And I don't like the state of college football right now, man. I don't like conferences joining, and I don't like USC playing in the Big Ten, and I don't like the fact that you know, I like the playoff system, and nothing wrong with adding more teams to the playoff system, but I just think that college football is all about money. It's lost the innocence of sports. It's too much politics. It's too much undercutting. It's too much, you know, even some of the coaches. I'm hearing some crazy things going on right now at LSU with this Notre Dame ex-coach, man. Don't know how to treat players, treating players horribly. And I don't know, man. Is it all for the sake of winning, or is it just where is this heading? You know, where is this going? Where are we going to see college football in the next 10 years? It's almost scary to me. You know, it's just like the game is becoming too big for the schools to control. Everybody, you know, from the giving the money to the players, to jobs, to how what facility got the best locker rooms, to the, you know, do we need one of what they call it, the skinny pool? It's just like a fight going on between the schools on who can have the best stadium, have the best locker room, who can pay the most to the players. And that's just, even with this situation here at Arizona State, where it's just a bunch of politics. I mean, who in their right mind doesn't think Herm Edwards is a great guy for the young kids as a mentor? I mean, I don't get it, man. I just don't think Herm Edwards, no matter what, is a bad person, especially for young men. You know, if I had a son, I wouldn't have I wouldn't have no hesitation sending them to Herm Edwards to play football for.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. So what this sounds like, this doesn't sound like this is about football. This is personal. This is not about football.
Power struggle of something going on, you know. Even the headline, you know, alleged sabotage within the Arizona State Athletic Department. That I cringe when I hear stuff like that, man, because it seems like there's either the AD is jealous, and that's what it sounds like. It sounds like he pissed off somebody in the athletic department, particularly maybe the AD, assistant AD, and then if you piss off one time, oh, we're gonna get him out. We're gonna do everything we can to get him out.
Yeah, supposedly him and the AD are best friends. They're really good friends. So he probably had a target on his back as soon as he got the job. Because think about it, if somebody else wanted their guy in there and they're like, you hired your best friend. We wanted this guy, we wanted that guy. So it's like, okay, well, that's who you want. Well, we're gonna sabotage.
Yeah, we're gonna make it tough for him. We're gonna do what we can. We're gonna scrutinize this. They go on road trips and he might have had a room with a king size bed. And he's overspending. I say, Lord have mercy, man. He had 2 Gatorades after the game, and they documenting that, man. They got bean counters and all that. It just seems that this is an ugly situation, and anybody go to Arizona State and got to deal with it. And this does not put Arizona State in a good light, man. You know,
it doesn't.
It's too many people in this world, in this country, knows that Herm Edwards is a good person, you know. Regardless of what's going on in Arizona State or what happened or whatever, this guy has had a track record through, even when he was a player, all through his whole time as an analyst, all his impact on the game as mentoring to players. There's no way in the world, no matter what happened with this here, that Herm Edwards is a bad guy. There's no way. So in my right mind, that whatever happened, they did it to the Edwards and not the other way around, man. And you know, and I hate to see stuff like that, man, because I don't know, man. It just seems like politics at its finest. And somebody in the organization, and I agree with you, probably they never want him to be the head coach. You know, probably like, hey, man, why do we have to go out and get an ex-NFL guy when we should have got a guy with college experience or something? Who knows? I'm leery right now, Arizona, man. It just seems like there's a lot of bad stuff coming out of Arizona.
Yeah, absolutely. And then this doesn't bode well for your future, Arizona State. Because the only reason we even talking about Arizona State, the only reason they've been in the national media is because they hired Herm Edwards. That's the only reason why. Now that Herm Edwards is gone, now you fade to black once again. How are you going to recruit competent, quality coaches, guys who want to come in and turn the program around when you have this? This doesn't make you look good. Because now, if I'm a burgeoning young coach and I'm like John Kitna right now. John Kitna, they say, is a prime coaching candidate right now. He's coaching high school ball, but a lot of colleges been knocking on his door about coming, bringing him in and turn their programs around. So let's say I'm John Kitna. I'm not going to Arizona State. You leak? No. So people leaking information, and I gotta play with a handicap on Saturdays. I'm not doing that. So they got to figure this out. They got to find out where that leak came from. And they got to fire whoever it is.
Yeah, they do, man, because they might have a hard time getting a quality coach. They got to put up with all that nonsense, man. It's one thing to try to beat the UCLAs, and it's another thing is, man, you can't trust nobody in the staff. That's the worst thing you can be as a coach, that you don't know who to trust, who not to trust, who got your back, who don't have your back. And then they try to send you on the outhouse. So that's not good for Arizona State, man.
Yeah, no, it is not good for Arizona State. But yeah, well, that's why they're Arizona State. That's why they are where they are. So it is what it is, man. But we're gonna leave it right
there. The last time they won a conference.
Yeah, I can't even remember last time they were relevant. I I can't think of what the last two NFL players they of significance come from there was what N'Keal Harry and what they did have Brandon Ayuk, and Ayuk is playing very well. But outside of that, I can't think of any guys off the top of my head who's come from the program in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's been a while. They've been down for a while too.
Yeah, it has been a while. But man, we're gonna leave it right there. We're gonna go back to the NFL, and we're gonna talk about your boy Dan Snyder, which he's getting some backlash because they say he was cozying up with Jerry Jones when they played against the Cowboys. And why would he not cozy up with Jerry Jones? Jerry Jones is probably the only reason why Dan Snyder is still the owner of the Commanders right now. So of course, I mean, it just is what it is. So. But seeing this report came out, say momentum built towards trying to oust Daniel Snyder. So say the NFL has tiptoed around Commanders owner Daniel Snyder in recent years. Soon they could be trying to curb stomp him. The Washington Post reports that the sentiment among team owners has shifted significantly as the league awaits the findings of both a congressional investigation and the NFL Commission study conducted by Mary Jo White. Per the Post, multiple owners have said in recent days that they believe serious consideration could be given to attempting to shed Snyder, either by convincing him to sell this franchise or by voting to remove him. He needs to sell, an unnamed owner told the Post. Some of us need to go to him and tell him that he needs to sell. The same owner predicted that there will be a movement to dump Snyder. We need to get 24 votes, the owner told the Post. Indeed, they do, but it may not be easy. While Snyder has few friends or allies, one of them is Cowboy owner Jerry Jones. We talked about that. He got Jerry Jones in his back pocket. Jones could lead the charge to ensure that 7 other join Jones and Snyder in opposing an involuntary effort to push Snyder out. After more than 20 years in charge, other owners could align with that effort, given a concern about the setting of a precedent that could be used in time against them. And see, this is where it gets a little hairy right here, because now this is where it comes back to protecting your own, because they like, well, if they're going to get him on this, what's going to stop them from getting me on this one day? So this is where it's going to get tough for them to get these votes. Say the organization understandably has attempted to focus on the present and the future, not the past. It's not surprising then that the Commanders president, Jason Wright, will issue this statement to the Post. We are making important progress on a cultural transformation to ensure our workplace is inclusive and safe for all. The league has publicly recognized our efforts, and independent experts regularly examine our journey on this accord, having confirmed this progress. We are relentlessly focused on continuous improvement at every level of the organization so that we can be a gold standard organization in all facets. That glosses over, as teams always does, the question of whether Snyder engaged in misconduct, the extent of it, and what proper consequences should be. The league and the team consistently and stubbornly have hidden that information from public view. On July 1st, 2021, the league announced the punishment imposed on the organization as a result of attorney Beth Wilkinson's 11-month investigation. The league did not disclose any findings regarding Snyder's conduct or Wilkinson's recommendations for handling him. Pro Football Talk confirmed earlier this year a report from 106.7 The Fan in D.C. that Wilkinson would have recommended the league for Snyder to sell. Oh, that sure didn't come out. We haven't heard about that. If she had been asked about to reduce her recommendations to writing. The resistance to act against Snyder could change with White investigation or with the Oversight Committee's ongoing probe. In May, Jared Bell of USA Today reported that some owners were counting votes towards the magic number of 24. Pro Football Talk in February that the allegations resulting in White's follow-up investigation could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Still, the league likely has opted to tread lightly for a reason. If Snyder's alleged misdeeds result in Snyder being forced out, the owners could face similar allegations and eventual predicaments. Also, Snyder likely would refuse to go, using litigation in any court of competent jurisdiction to fight his partners. He likewise could choose to share details of similar behavior regarding other owners to the media if such evidence exists, if Snyder is privy to it. Some owners apparently don't care. Whether that number reaches a critical mass of 24 remains to be seen. Man, it's about to get ugly. This is about to get ugly because we said this last year. he has guys in his back pocket and he has information.
Yeah.
And the precedent is if they're able to oust him, same things, allegations and things could be levied against other owners. Mm-hmm. False or real, it can be levied, and then now you got another issue on your hands. So I see the pickle that this could put them in, but they're getting to a point where you saw the owners don't care. Because it's some that are doing it the right way and they're running the right business. And I know it's some owners sitting back right now like, well, my franchise is fine. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. They're not. So if he go down and he take 5 more with him, I don't care. He needs to go.
Yeah.
So now this is going to be split now. It's going to be like the AFL and the NFL. They're going to be split right down the middle now.
Yeah, I just think the league got a lot of dirty owners, and some of the dirty ones are the biggest names with the most, with the elite franchises, and they just trying to thread water and make sure they thread it right. And they're trying to please, Daniel Snyder, just what happens if you resign? What will you do? Will you disclose my information, or will you go off in the sunset peacefully? And they're trying to get reassurances that all that's going to happen, man. There's too much good old boy politics in this league among these owners, man. And you got no middle person. You got nobody in charge over them. The commissioner is has no weight among these heavy-handed owners. He doesn't carry any clout.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem. So they can do whatever they want. They don't have to worry about getting their wrist slapped, no handcuffs by this NFL commissioner. So that's what you got. And they're trying to check. I think they're trying to check among each other. So, Daniel, what do you got on me?
Right.
Man, we force you out. What do you got that would embarrass me or my organization? And I think they're trying to pool all their sources and make sure that they don't, the bad owners, the Jerry Jones and all those guys with the power influence, they're trying to make sure that if this guy forced out, that he don't have no damage on them.
Yeah. But they say it's going to reach a critical mass because there's some guys, they don't care. They want him going because they understand what's going on. They seen because he's faced zero punishment. Zero. And the only ones that's been punished in this whole debacle with them is John Gruden. And he's not even part of their organization. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, the biggest worry about owners is, and they get a lot more concerned when it's going to be something that hurts their money income coming in. That hurts the bottom line coming in. Or we can't get advertisers because you got a bad fish in the pond, and we don't want to be affiliated with anything with Daniel Snyder.
Yeah.
And that's when they start making decisions based on that. We can't have him hurting our business, our business model, our television revenue. And we can't have a black eye that's going to hurt us drawing that income. So that's probably why some of them are rallying that we got to do something because, this negative publicity is continue to add up. And when we get in the negotiating room with the networks, we don't want to have to explain this black eye that hurt our money.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely. So, yeah, absolutely. So when I saw this and I was like, man, what does he have on them? What is the information? Because remember, the NFL buried those emails. They gone. Those 650,000 emails that have not come out. There's a lot of information in those emails, and I'm sure he has access to that information. And so whatever it is, he got stuff on some of everybody. And so the one of the things that could stop it is if he has something like the owners have no issue, like they got an issue with him, but they got no issue with Robert Kraft, and he has things on Robert Kraft, or he has things on Jerry Jones, or he got things on the Rooneys or something like that. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants anything to go down with them. That could stop him from going out. But as the anonymous owner said, and I wonder who that anonymous owner is. As the anonymous owner said, no one cares anymore. It's getting to a point where They don't care. And they're going to tally up because they're not going to hold it to that vote until they know for sure that they got 24.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're playing politics. They're playing just like the Senate plays. They're trying to see how many votes they can get, how many votes will vote against. They pooling each other to figure out what direction they might go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, well, we're going to leave it right there. We're going to move on. Let's see if I can pull this page up. There he goes. So we're going to talk just a little bit of NBA. You know, preseason has started. Season is underway. And we'll talk a little bit. We'll go more in depth once the season start. You know, we'll get some predictions and how we think the season's going to go once it gets really started up. But talk about Mr. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And so Kareem posted this on his Twitter about Kyrie Irving. And he said, it's a picture of Kyrie Irving flipping the bird to the Boston crowd, you know, and I got my personal thoughts on him flipping the bird to the Boston crowd. They say, Kareem says, let's make sure our kids have the right kind of role models. Kyrie Irving should reconsider his behavior because young people look up to him. And in the picture says Kyrie Irving will be dismissed as a comical buffoon if it weren't for his influence over young people who look up to athletes. You know, so Kareem was very critical of Kyrie's behavior. And of course, Twitter is a very unforgiving place. First thing they brought up was him punching a former first overall pick. I forgot the guy's name. I think it was Buckner or something like that. Was it? I can't remember the guy's name. I'll find out. Kareem punched dude in the face. And somebody brought it up. I never knew that. I had never seen the footage of it. I never seen it, but they brought up him punching guys in the face. And this is where I want when I talk about the former athletes, just drop it, man. Drop it, leave it alone, and let it go. Because first of all, I could see if he did this in, let's say, Miami, or he did it in Golden State, or he did it maybe in LA, but Boston, and he played there. Even if he never played there, the Boston crowd, I don't care who it is. I don't care what player, what sport. If you playing in Boston, you almost have damn near right to flip off the crowd because they're terrible. They've been awful. They've been awful for a very long time. And we talk about how they've been racist for a very long time. Even Big Baby Glenn Davis talked about it. Big Baby said that he said I saw him doing it to other people, but because I played for him, they left me alone. But I did see it up close and personal.
Yeah, let me say this, man. Being an old school NBA guy, Kareem hit Kent Benson. He used to play.
That's his name. Yeah. That's his name.
Also, early in his career, I was a kid, but man, Kareem got rocked by a guy named Dennis Autry. He beat Kareem so bad that day on the court that Kareem, that what made him take up karate. He sucker punched Kareem. Kareem didn't see the punch. And the only thing I can remember, I probably was like in third grade, but I remember that, man. And Kareem went and was holding his face while the guy was wailing on him. I was like, wait a minute, that is Kareem. And he like hunched down and he got popped in the eye. And the only thing he did was hold his face while he got beat. And he went to karate. He got with Bruce Lee and some, I can't think of the other. It was a black karate guy that he got with. And, but I'm with you, man. I have all the admiration and the respect for Kareem. I understand what he's trying to say. But I don't think it's Kareem's place to give advice to this. I mean, he's a grown man. I mean, I think one thing that the professional athletes that retired crosses the line a little bit, and they kind of forget when they were young, and there were some things that went on in the 70s. You know, Kareem was not the easiest teammate, particularly when he was with Milwaukee. He was not a role model he did not, and believe me, I'm a big fan of Kareem, but I know what his career was. He did not like Milwaukee. He did not engage with the fans in Milwaukee. He did not engage with all his teammates in Milwaukee. And he wanted out. You know, that's bottom line when he was in Milwaukee. He didn't engage a lot. He was standoffish. Yeah, that's the you know, dug up the bag. Look at that role model.
Right. Watch this. Is that how we supposed to play basketball, Kareem? Come on now. Come on now.
Man, Kareem got hit in the stomach, man.
Come on. And I've seen tougher punches, man. Come on.
It looked like he snuck up and popped him.
Yeah, that nice little elbow. You know, he ain't see it coming. You know, not the wind out of him a little bit. But he just straight punched the dude in the face.
Yeah, but he came from an angle, so he didn't stand in front of him. He hit him from the side. Watch this here. Like, he ain't say, like, man, what you did that for? He just came up on the side and then punched him.
Just right there. Blah. But this is Kareem. See, that's why you can't talk, man. You can't talk today. People ready to pull out receipts. People ready, man. Sure, and this is another thing. He's saying that other people brought this up. So look at this. You only talk about this about Kyrie Irving. NBA player Kyrie Irving donates $323,000 to combat food insecurity amid coronavirus pandemic. He wasn't even playing. He wasn't even bringing no money in. He was donating money.
Yeah. And that's
next Kyrie Irving donates $200,000 to Beyond Burgers and New York City Food Bank. Kyrie Irving commits $1.5 million to support WNBA players who opted out of the 2020 season. Kyrie Irving produced and Say Her Name Breonna Taylor special calls for action. And he did it where Kyrie Irving makes clean water and drought-ridden Pakistani village a reality. So if you're going to talk about Kyrie, talk about it all. You know, tell it all. You know, it's not like Kyrie is just this terrible person or whatever. Why? Because he flipped off a crowd, you know, because you don't maybe like the way he operated during the season or something like that. Come on, man. I dislike that.
But see, that's the whole thing about the older players, man. They forget about when they were a young player. Kareem definitely don't forget about that. Man, it was hard to be a teammate of Kareem. You know, his whole career wasn't with the Lakers and the Showtime Lakers. You know, he didn't spend his whole career with that. But those last 2 years he was in Milwaukee, he did not like it. He did not engage with his teammates. He was aloof. He didn't talk. They had teammates didn't even know how to approach him. Even when he was first couple of years with the Lakers, it was like he didn't engage a lot with his teammates. And I just think, man, the older players just, you know, your time is done, man. Stop critiquing.
Yeah.
Stop trying to put every player on a pedestal. Stop criticizing if they're different than what you were as a player. Because if you go back to their careers in the 70s, they didn't have Bill Russell critiquing Kareem. You know, I mean, that's what I'm saying. They didn't have the generation above Kareem saying he should do this, he should do that, he shouldn't have did this, he shouldn't have done that. And that's what to me, that's what it's almost come down to. That I think the older players are jealous of the younger players because they're making 3 times as much more money.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times the older players missed being in the spotlight. They really didn't have a career with social media, and they crave for the spotlight. You know, as much as we say, I mean, I saw something last week where the Showtime Lakers went back to Hawaii and had basically a training camp with Pat Riley. And I'm saying to myself, for a reunion? For what? And they got the shoes, they got the shirts, they got, like everybody played for Pat Riley went to this training camp. And I'm saying to myself, man, these guys 50, 60, 70 years old, man. What's the point? You might as well just had a reunion at a, go to a convention hall, have some couple of drinks, talk about old times, but don't, like they perceive like they had this training camp like they did back in 1987. And to me, that just shows, man, that those guys still crave for the respect that they got in the 80s. They crave for the spotlight. It's something that they still want to be regarded and respected. And let's face it, the generations that rooted for these guys, some of them went to glory. Some, it ain't what it used to be. And you have to accept that everything in life, time move on, man. You don't get stuck in 1987 and you want everybody to regard you 30 years later like they were regarding you in 1987. And I think this is a testimony of this, man. It's a newer generation. They do things different than Kareem did. And like I said, I admire Kareem. I think he did a lot for the game. I think he did a lot for society. But to just come out and talk about you got to act this certain way to gain what? To gain Kareem respect? I mean, so you supposed to act this way because Kareem say this is the way you should act? I mean, that's what it almost comes down to. And I just think, man, come on, man. He's a grown man. He's going to choose the way he lived, just like Kareem chose the way he lived back in the 60s and 70s, man. And just let it be. If he want to be a role model, and he has been a role model in his way, he doesn't need Kareem to justify what a role model is. So that Kareem stepped out of line, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel the same way. As I said before, I will say it again. The more I hear former players talk, the less I want to hear from them. It just is what it is, man. They want to be the center of attention, and then the social media too. Not only are the players making more money, they're way more visible today.
Yeah.
More opportunities.
And the older guys regret it. They resent it and they regret it. They regret that they make more money. They regret and resent. I watch the NBA, the television, the TV show that comes on NBA TV, and they have Isaiah Thomas, and they talk about the old times, and it's just unbelievable how much the older guys criticize the young guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like every night. Oh, and then they always throw in, back in our day, the Detroit Pistons, we did it this way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is, man. But man, he ain't been on the show in a while, but we got your boy back on the show. Zion Williamson, look at that. That was 2021. And you could clearly see he has been enjoying his gumbo and beignets for certain. He's been eating them all. But this year, somebody might be in trouble. Somebody might be in trouble. He looks like he's in really good shape. And if he can stay healthy, the question with Zion has never been his talent. It's been his ability to stay on the field. I think it was I don't know if it was Herm Edwards or Tony Dungy. It may have been Tony Dungy. Well, he talked about it. I think it is Tony Dungy. He said your best ability is your availability. And now Zion looks like he's taking it seriously, and he at least looks the part right now, at least.
Well, I'll say this, and I don't want to go against what I just said about the old guys bashing the young guys, but this kid got to mature. He's got to understand, in order for him to be at the level that he plays at, he's got to be at that elite type conditioning for the duration of the season. If he's going to be the flying king and he's going to jump and dunk and do all those kind of things, he's got to be at a weight that allows him to do that. And he's got to be mature, man. He's got to be the guy who, understands what the demands of this league is all about. And you can't just go off and leave your team behind and you go to Portland and you don't connect with your team or your teammates. And it's about maturity, man. He's not at Duke anymore. And there's starting to be questions about whether or not, is he one of the guys to be reckoned with in this league? And if that don't motivate you enough, to me, it shouldn't have took he in his fourth year, it shouldn't have took this long for this guy to look like that. It shouldn't have took that long. I don't care if he's in New Orleans, he could have been in Boston, don't matter. It takes too long. It shouldn't have took him too long to get away from the food table and look like a professional basketball player, and make his own calls, not his stepfather, him making his own decision making.
Yeah.
And that's what that's the standard that he's got to live up to. And this can't be no one-hit wonder. He's got to look like this in February. He got to look like this in March. If they make a playoff run, I've seen guys look just like this for this team. I've seen guys look just like that. And by the time December roll around, they done got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Hey, it's a picture of CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum looked a little husky in the media day photos. They talking about he gonna get suspended for getting a fat transfusion. I say, man, Twitter is terrible, man. It's terrible. What up, Kassan? He said, evening, fellas. Well, in 20 minutes, I will see what Zion. Oh, he playing on TNT. I might check out a little bit of that. He say crawfish gumbo, beignets, or salad, salmon, green shakes, lean, mean, tight.
Oh, they on TV tonight?
Yeah. He said in 20 minutes he'll be playing on TNT. Yeah, I might have to check that out.
But he's got to be professional, man. That's the one thing I say about Zion. They got Morant, they got some good young players, man. This league doesn't have to ride on his coattails.
Yeah. Shoot, don't forget Luka, man. Yeah. Jokic, all of those guys. Hey, so Kassan, this the crawfish gumbo and the beignets. Hey, and this that right there. That's the salad, salmon, and green shakes.
Well, let's just see how long it takes for he say, man, I'm tired of eating these sipping on green shakes, and I want some real Cajun food.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then he say, I'm not gonna hurt myself doing it, eating this one time, then that one time turning the second time, third time, fourth time, and then he back at the beignet bar.
Yeah. Okay, so Pelicans versus Bulls in 20 minutes. Okay, cool. On TNT. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to check out some of that.
Man, they showing preseason games on TNT, man.
Yeah, I didn't know they were showing preseason games on TNT.
So when did the season start? I'm lost, man. When did it start? End of the month?
When does the season start? Let's see. When does
Damn, I've been in the football so much I haven't even paid much.
Yeah, I had too. I had let's see, opening day October 18th. So 2 weeks.
Man. They're not far away, man.
Yeah, it's not far away. Yeah, October 18th, we'll pair of marquee matchups. Boston Celtics will host the 76ers at 6:30, and the Warriors host the Lakers at 9 p.m. Yeah, I'll definitely be tuned in for that one. But yeah, we're gonna leave that right there. And
let's tell Kareem, leave them young players alone, Kareem. You had your day, man. You don't need to go back to the reunion in Hawaii.
Right.
And then do singing songs. And I say, man, you guys done had your time. Let the young guys have their time.
Yeah, let these young guys have their time,
I'm
man.
critiquing everything they do and talking about they should do this and be this and do this and do that. When ain't nobody did that to y'all, man. You gotta keep your place, man. Keep your place. Let these guys do what they gonna make a mistake. Let them make a mistake.
Yeah, man. So it is what it is. So, man, appreciate everybody for tuning in. But before we get out of here, Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen have reportedly hired divorce lawyers. They're heading for a divorce. Who could have saw that coming?
Man, somebody said you're right, man. Twitter is a monster, man. Somebody said that Tom Brady chose the Panthers, playing against the Panthers twice.
Yeah,
his family.
I saw that. Hey, look at this one right here. Hey, this is they talking about this Tom Brady without Gisele yelling at him to retire every year.
Yeah, Tom gonna be playing by himself, man. He gonna be back out there the next 20 years. Oh, he's gone. He's gone.
Hey, man. The Twitter is unrelenting, man. I see some of them, man. They got so many jokes. He talking about Tom Brady ruined his entire family just to prove Adam Schefter wrong.
Oh. Yeah, he told his wife, okay, this is the final one. And then she said, you going back? I said, that's it. That's it. No more of this.
Hey, they talking about this Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers when it come to their family.
No thoughts. No relationship.
He said, no thoughts and no relationship.
No relationship.
No
just
thoughts.
Football all day, all night.
Hilarious, man. Hilarious. No, this is too much, man. People been going on about this. Oh yeah, Robert Griffin said a lot of assumptions being made about Tom Brady and his wife Gisele when no one but them really knows if anything's going on. Let them live and figure it out in their own marriage. They're only the ones who knows what's going on and why they're in their relationship. Yeah, of course, but you know, people gonna get their jokes off, man. You know, it is what it is. Oh, this is one of my favorites right here. Tom Brady realizing he destroyed his family just to lose in the wild card round.
Yeah, he'll be begging in January. Please take me back,
man.
I don't know, boy. I tell you what, Brendan. I don't know about this Bucks team, boy. I don't think that team may not have a Super Bowl run in them, man. I don't know. It's still early.
Yeah, I don't know. It's still early, but they look offensively, man. They look out of sorts, man. But hey, like God said, he say if you're gonna depend on anybody to figure it out, Tom Brady's probably one of the best in the business at figuring it out. So no, we'll see. And then that offensive line, they can't take any more injuries, man. They beat up. That's what their main problem is. They've been beat up so much, man. So, but Tom, we'll see what goes on with Tom in this. Now that they're headed for a divorce, one of the things he won't have to worry about is his money being taken because she make more money. She's got more money than him. Her net worth is higher than his. So, hey, it is what it is.
Tom got his trophies and his football helmet. He'll be playing until he's 60.
Yeah, absolutely. So, last thing. So I know you saw the hit Tua Tagovailoa, and I was like, why do they keep showing it? I say when gruesome injuries happen, they usually don't keep showing it, but they kept showing his fingers all twisted up and all of that. I say, man, and then it was another Cameron Brate. Cameron Brate supposedly said that he had a shoulder injury, but really it was a head injury, and they allowed him back into the game. And Jalen Ramsey said it last week. He said the NFL needs to be worried about our safety instead of worrying about finding players for socks and other nonsensical bull crap. I mean, because this is an issue. You had to fire the doctor for Miami, and you put it all on the doctor. But I think the doctor is a scapegoat, just like in the Michael Jackson. They wanted to scapegoat the doctor. It wasn't just the doctor. It's not just the doctor in Miami either. He was just the scapegoat in this. Where's the responsibility for Mike McDaniel? Where's the responsibility for ownership and the general manager and everybody in the higher ups? Where's the responsibility for them? Tua Tagovailoa should not have been on the field.
Yeah, no question. And, another thing is the league, to me, is safeguarding the shield too much. It shouldn't have taken. If the doctor got fired last week, it should be disclosed what did he do wrong by now. We shouldn't have to wait 3 weeks and an investigation here. If you fired the neurologist, then that should be disclosed. What did he did not do, And that's the thing about this league right now is too much, if you're going to be open, you're going to be honest with your public, and you're going to make decisions that's already been made, and you're talking about we got to wait till we get an investigation finalized, then the league is not being honest, man.
Yeah.
And you know that in order for this guy, the doctor, to get fired, something went wrong. And I think it's the league obligation to disclose when it comes to medical situations like Tua, to be upfront, and they're not being upfront, and that's bad. Especially when you go back to, it's been movies documented about this league not disclosing injuries with the concussions. It's got a history of not giving information, not even to their own, to the league, not giving information to his own players.
Yeah.
And this is just another example, man. This guy got fired. You're going to tell me you got to wait till you continue your investigation. And if something, if the steps of the protocol was broken, then just be upfront. Just be upfront. Disclose what happened. If Miami is at fault, which they look like they are, then just be open and honest and just say what the facts of the matter is. And if he didn't have a back injury and Miami said he had a back injury, then that should be a fine also.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm gonna get this Dominique Foxworth because I had forgot about it. I meant to show it earlier, but I'm gonna show this and then we're gonna get on up out of here. He made some good points, and the people who commented on this just proved this point. It was absolutely hilarious.
To having frustrating to me to listen to and read fans and media and everyone being all up in
fair
arms.
Use.
We all got to take responsibility. And I think Mike McDaniel in that press conference, he should have taken responsibility. Don't pretend like out here I'm protecting all the players. Take responsibility for the role that you played in that. And Swagoo's taking responsibility for not raising more noise before that. He's taking responsibility. All of us and the fans in particular need to take responsibility because it's not just these ugly hits that are a problem. Like every weekend that there is football played, there are players out there who shake hands afterwards and feel fine, but they have gotten closer to having some sort of long-term issue or having some sort of CTE. So we all understand that. We accept that. And what frustrates me is all these people, fans in particular, pretending like they give a damn about Tua or they give a damn about football players all of a sudden. When we're in these collective bargaining meetings and we're arguing or to not have Thursday games after Sunday games, to have a bye, to not have a 17-game season, arguing to increase the pay of players because the risk of this game is so damn high. There are not fans up there fighting and throwing themselves all in a tizzy on Twitter because of that. They're yelling at us. They're like, no, get back and play football. So just keep that same damn energy. You give a damn about Tua now, give a damn about all the rest of the players in the offseason when we're trying to fight to have a second opinion. We have to give up percentage points of our salary cap in order to force the teams to give our players a second opinion in doctors. And don't nobody give a damn when we're doing that. It's frustrating to me to
absolutely. I like what he said because basically, and fans were like, "Well, you're blaming the fans. You're doing this. You're blaming the fans." No, what he's saying is you guys don't care. He says so. Keep that same energy. You don't care about Tua. You don't care about the injuries. You want guys to get back out there and play. And once again, I didn't know that about them giving up percentage points in their salary cap to get a second opinion.
Yeah,
that's insane because the NFL doesn't want to pay for it. They won't give up the money for that.
But one more thing, man. I've always said this for a long time. The NFL has to have a stronger players association. I know it's easy to blame the fans and all that. I understand that. but they got to have a players association who protect their players. And if it takes going on a strike to wake up the owners, then they need to have these concessions written in their players in the collective bargaining agreement, because I don't think they're protected enough. I think initially I thought the concussion protocol was just put in so it would stop the talk about the concussion stuff, from the movie. It was action based on the fact that we got to do something to cut down this negative publicity, and we need to do more. But the league, it ain't. This player association has to be. You can't have a guy that's friends with the commissioner running your player association. That does not work. Look at baseball. Baseball don't care. If you're not going to pay us and compensate us in a way that we feel that's not it's not conducive to the needs of the players, then we're not going to agree to it. And these guys got to stop always thinking about losing money, but losing your health is all you got. That's all you have. You can have all the money in the world, but if you got CTE, what does it matter? So I feel that every player who's played in this league, who's playing right now, should demand that they have a stronger NFL Players Association, because right now that player association is getting raked under the coals by this league. They concede too much. They conceded in the last collective bargaining agreement.
Absolutely.
They have to take a much stronger stance, because he's talking about the fans don't care. The real reality is the owners don't care. They want those players out there on the field. They don't care about, but that's what it comes down to. The fan is going to be the fan. But the one thing that he didn't say is the fans don't control the decision making. The decision making comes from that collective bargaining agreement and these owners and that commissioner. And those are the decision makers who put the rules in. And those are the people that's what has to change. Fans are fans. They're going to be fans. But things that's going to get changed is the NFL Players Association got to stop agreeing to everything that the owners put on the table for these players. And protection and health is all they got.
Yeah. And if we want to keep it all the way 100, just like what you just said, I said it before, I'll say it again. The players themselves don't care enough either. Almost 1,000 players did not vote on the last collective bargaining agreement. So if you want to start with anybody, before you point fingers at anybody else, because I get what Dominique Foxworth said, the fake outrage, and I get that. But if the players really want to make significant change, take a page out of Michael Jackson's book and start with the man in the mirror. It's them. They have to start it. They are the architects of their own destruction and failure right now. It just is what it is. Like you said, the franchise tag that last collective bargaining agreement, franchise tag should have been gone.
Yeah. And it should have been gone.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just like if you go back to all the stuff about the CTE, the concussion, the movie, if you watch that movie, everything in that movie was true. The league did not want it. The league knew about concussions 20 years ago, what the impact of this game had on brains and the possibility of CT, and they sat on it. They didn't do anything. They didn't want the negative publicity. So now if you got a concussion protocol and you got organizations not following through on the protocol, it's sometimes the wins don't. I know everybody want to win. I understand Tua. You ask him whether he got a concussion, what he's going to tell you if they ask you, can you go back in the game? He's going to say it. But you got to have some safeguards in from this league, from that players association, through the owners, through this league, that if you wobbly, that should have been implemented and enforced long before now.
Absolutely.
Because the player deserves to not be able to walk 6 years from now because somebody made the decision for this player to go back in the game. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And these players, money is great. You know, all the money in the world. And if the only thing you care about in your players association is getting the most money, then don't complain. Let's say this again. Don't complain if you got these medical things going on in your league and they're putting you out there like you just, fresh meat going out on the field and you got no protection because the only thing that you raised hell about was salaries, then you have your own self to blame for it. And that's basically what it's been like. They want the money, but they haven't conceded all the other things that need to put in place. And I say this all the time. Health for a player is more important than anything. If you don't have your health, you can't play. So if you can't play, you can't get paid.
Absolutely, son. So that's it. I can't put it no better than that right there. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Follow me on all my social medias. Follow Mr. Reed on Twitter, of course. And we will be back with more live streams. We'll cover more sports for you. NBA is coming up, so we're going to cover the start of the NBA season. We're going to continue to follow these Jags. I appreciate everybody. But until next time, we are out of here.
Peace out.
Peace out, y'all.